Welcome to the Phil Steele Plus Tour for Week 8, October the 18th. Also a play on NFL for October the 19th. Quick recap of last week. Well, 3-2 last week for the selections. Should have been 4-1. Virginia Tech, of course, going for 2 points after scoring the touchdown that would have covered just with the regular extra point. They were plus 14.5. Instead, he goes for 2, misses it. They lose by 15. If they made the 2, it would have been good. If they kicked the extra point, it would have been 4-1, but 3-2 for the selections. We'll take that. Any winning weeks are winning weeks. And then the quick hitter, 4-2 last week. Now 14-4 over the last 3 weeks. And we put your boy Chris back on Saturdays for the FCS, and he went 3-1 again. Those FCS plays just simply amazing. So overall, the tour went 10-5 last week. In the college, the NFL play did lose. All right, I got 6 big selections for you today, 6 quick hitters. Let's hop into it. We're going to start off with the strength of schedule, YPG versus opponent average, misleading final play. You got a lot of things going on here. We got Clemson against SMU. I call him SMU, you call him SMU, but I like to call him SMU. So if I say SMU, you know who I'm talking about. First of all, I said strength of schedule. Well, let's take a look at the strength of schedule for these two teams. Now, this is what you get when you go to the Phil Steele Plus menu. You get team pages, 8 college ATS logs. Look at this. You can get college ATS logs, by the way. This is updated all season long. The WNDL refers to what they did against the spread, even gives you the totals on the game. You actually can get that for the FCS. Nobody's got FCS logs. We do right here. And by the way, we will, this upcoming week, post a schedule in rotation order for you here on Phil Steele Plus as well. We just keep putting more and more information up here. You also get the NFL logs, so all that's available on the logs. But let's go back to this the main menu here for the Phil Steele Plus. And when we look at it, we can go to the strength of schedule right here. So let's go to strength of schedule. And we're going to find in the strength of schedule that Clemson's taken on the tougher schedule this year. Number 22 in the country. SMU is at number 86. So that's a pretty large strength of schedule edge that Clemson has for this one. But now let's take a look at the YPG versus opponent average. SMU is -6 and -17 versus their opponent average. Clemson is plus 45 and plus 65 versus opponent average. Generally, when a team has the higher number, they've played a weaker schedule. Here, Clemson's actually played the much tougher schedule, which sort of amplifies it. And if you look at the overall rankings, you see Indiana right now is number 1 in the country. Texas Tech is number 2. This is adding up. And here's what these numbers mean, just so you understand how to use Phil Steele Plus. This 144 means that they gained North Carolina in games they don't play Clemson, allows 344 yards per game. Clemson at 144 above that average at 488. Once again here, Boston College in games they don't play Clemson allows 364 yards per game, but against Clemson they allowed 504, 140 above the average. When you add these in, if a team played an FCS team, like here, they played East Texas A&M, it doesn't include that average in this file here. And here's an amazing stat. Against East Texas A&M, they had 400 yards. That's 24 yards below what East Texas A&M's allowing this year. Wow. Generally, I don't include them because generally they're like 100 and 200 yards above an FCS average. They were actually below. It would actually hurt their numbers. So anyway, if you go to this chart here, we look for Clemson. Clemson's not at the top, but they're right here. Number 37, plus 109.5. Then we go down and we take a look for SMU. And once again, the amazing thing here is that Clemson's played the much tougher schedule. Clemson is -30, number 99. This is a great chart to use. That's what these opponent averages mean out here. And use them each week during your thing. So that's your first part. The second part mentioned is that Clemson on the year, if you take a look at this, they are plus 86 yards per game overall. SMU, despite their 4-2 record, is being outgained by 18 yards per game, and that includes playing an FCS opponent. So that's a nice thing to have. Now, here's what I mean by misleading final. If you take a look at Clemson the last 2 weeks, they put up 35 points in the first half against North Carolina, 367 yards. Then with a big lead, They just sort of let up in the second half. They only had 120 yards. Against Boston College, 34 points in the first half. And then once again, with the big lead, they sort of let up and only had 41 points. So had they played the full 60 minutes, double these numbers or close to it, you'd have a lot better stats than even what they've had the last 2 weeks. Now let's take a look at SMU. Take a look at the Stanford game, for example. Let's take a look at two of SMU's touchdowns. First of all, they were actually out first down by Stanford, 23-17. They won the game by 24. You say SMU blew them out, right? Well, they actually were out first down, 23-17. The yards were close. And if you look at SMU's games, if you click on box score right here, you get the complete box score for the game. And this, I go through the play-by-play of every single game. These things are invaluable. But if we take a look at how SMU scores, first of all, at the end of the first half, SMU gets the ball, 2:44 to go in the half. They have a 2nd and 18 on their own 13. They're just running out the clock at this point, right? They hand the ball off to Johnson, and he races 87 yards for a touchdown. Sort of a fluky score when you're just trying to run the ball out at the end of a half. They don't want to turn the ball back over, but they get a touchdown out of it. That was one score, but here's the other one. And it comes at the end of the game. We're in the fourth quarter, and Stanford is actually driving. Look at this drive by Stanford. It's a 90-yard, 11-play drive. The score at this point is, let's see what the score is. Zip up here, 24-10. So Stanford's threatening to make it a one-score game at this point. They have a 1st and goal at the SMU 5-yard line. 1st and goal. Interception, return 96 yards for a touchdown, the dreaded 14-point swing. So all of a sudden, SMU's winning by 21 when they actually should be winning by 7. That makes this a misleading final, as does the stats. So you have both teams sort of off misleading finals. I say that for Clemson because they let up in the second half, and I don't think they're going to do that here. And also, when SMU played Syracuse, they won 31-18, and they held them to 389 yards. They were taking on a backup quarterback. They weren't taking on a full-strength Syracuse like Clemson played. Clemson played Syracuse, gave up 433 yards, but they were taking on Angeli. They were taking on the backup quarterback who generated 3 points the next week against Duke. So add it all up. Your first play this week, we're going to take Clemson -9.5 over SMU. All right, we won our special teams game of the week last week with USC. Let's see if we can't win another special teams game of the week this week. Now, this is my special teams game of the week plus technical game. We're going to put Georgia on the right, and we're going to put Kentucky on the left. Now, the first thing you want to do, I called it the special teams game of the week, so we got to go to the Phil Steele Plus menu. And we are going to string down here to special teams. And we click on that, and let's see where Georgia ranks. Georgia's number 18 in our special teams rankings. Let me open this up a little bit. This accounts for all these different categories in each one. Now let's go take a look for Kentucky. Kentucky is number 56. No, they're playing Mississippi. I'm sorry, they're playing Mississippi. That's why I couldn't find it. Mississippi's number 56. So you have a large special teams edge. For some reason, I put Kentucky up there. I'm not sure why. They're playing Ole Miss. All right, so we got Ole Miss on the left, Georgia on the right. You have a special teams edge. That's one. Now let's take a look at a couple other things. First of all, the series. When Georgia plays Mississippi and they're at home, they beat them 52-17. They beat them 37-10. And what these mean, if this color is green in this category, that means they won the game outright. If this color is green out here, that means they covered. You do not have to do the math. You don't have to say they were 14, they won the game by 27, they covered. Green means they covered. Makes it real easy. Also over here, if we take a look, this tells you about the home team. Now, if the word is win, that means that the home team wins straight up. If it's green, that means the home team covered. Once again, you don't have to go back over here, look at the line, look at the score. It's done for you. The math is done. So the home team's won 4 in a row in the series. Georgia covered at home, won by 35, won by 27, won by 28, won by 14, won by 18, won by 7. Let's stop here at this one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Last 5 times Georgia has won at home in this series. They have won by 24 points per game. So that's a nice thing to have. This is also if we take a look at the schedule predictor, first time we're bringing it out here today. Did I have it on the Clemson game? I did have the smooth Clemson game. Let's see if we had anything interesting there. AGG has Clemson by 16.2. Schedule strength shows Clemson by 64. And by the way, the schedule strength plays 38-22 on the year, 11-7. So I like these schedule strength plays. And once again, when you're using the schedule predictor, if it is green, that's a best bet for this category. If it is yellow, it's a half a best bet. It's almost there. So Clemson is a true strength of schedule best bet this week. Clemson is a conference AGG best bet. I didn't even bring that up. Guess what? I like to add stuff. The schedule predictor just got another column. It's one we used last year, but I only used it once we got to mid-season for the conference games. I put it in play again this week. Clemson's a plus 15.7 on the AGG. I'll show you that when we get to a conference AGG. Explain it where we're on the Georgia game here. But 29-10 last year for these plays. By the way, the schedule predictor went 9-3-2. I told you last week it had 14 best bets. I don't know how many best bets this week. I'll have that updated for you on Friday. I'll have all the best bets updated for you. But 14 last week, it went 9-3-2. That's a pretty good record, 108-69. But anyway, in this Georgia game, Georgia is a best bet. As you see here, when they met last year, Mississippi won by 12. So how's Georgia a best bet? That's a best bet on Ole Miss. Well, this one says Georgia by 14 was my preseason line, making it a best bet. It's a revenge game. You guys know how the revenge games do, 104-55. Now, this year, they're only 15-15, but they've been heating up, 4-3 last week, 104-55 over 3 years, a revenge game on Georgia. The score back here at home, the last time they played here, Georgia won by 35, and it's a technical play. Now let's get into what these technical plays are in this one. The first technical play that we're going to bring up here is that Mississippi, let's go back over here, as an away dog. Let's take a look. They have not been an away dog this year, and so we're going to check their away dog record. Look at this. They are 0-2, 0-3, 1-5 as an away dog the last 4 years. And by the way, we give you about this top part here in the magazine. You get all this other with Phil Steele Plus. All these categories: favorite dog, conference favorite, conference dog, ranked teams versus top 10 teams. And we'll get to those categories right now because I'm going to bring that up on Georgia. Let's go to Georgia. Now, Mississippi's in the top 10, right? So how do they do against top 10 teams as a home favorite? In 10 years, now 11, they are 5-1. They have not faced a top 10 team at home this year. 5-1 against the spread. They're 1-5 as an away dog. That's pretty good. Also, how do they do against ranked teams? If we take a look at how they do overall at home against ranked teams, they are 10-5. Take away this year, 10-4 over 9 years. 10-4, and this year they did lose to Bama, so they're 10-5 versus ranked teams at home. 5-1 versus top 10 teams at home, and Ole Miss is 1-5. Now, when you look at the schedule predictor, let's go back to the schedule predictor for a minute. Out here, I don't have time to list, or don't have space to list what each of these angles is. Be a PressBox subscriber. If you're a PressBox subscriber, you can look out here and say, okay, away dog. Look at what the angle I have written in PressBox. Home series, which I didn't even put here, versus ranked teams. There's a lot of angles on Georgia. So Georgia gets 4 best bets on its side. Ole Miss has 1. You take the 1 off, it's a 3 best bet play on Georgia. By the way, one of our guys on the YouTube, which you guys are watching, Sean Neal, 2525. Commented this week, and I appreciate that, Sean. I appreciate you looking this up. I did ask you guys if you can find a combination here. We've got all these best bets and all these different categories. You find a combination that's really working, let me know. Sean, let me know. He said if there is a best bet out here in this column, they went 9-3-2 last week, that is also a revenge play. Those plays coming into last week were 5-2. They went 3-1 last week. They are 8-3 on the year. So when I finish these best bets out here on Friday, there'll probably be double digits. There'll probably be at least 10, maybe 14 best bets. See if any of them are also a revenge play. If it is, there are 8-3 on the year. On the year, the best bets are 32, 20-2, 9-3-2 last week. So, Sean, I appreciate that tidbit. You get any more, feel free to put them there, or you guys can even tweet them at me at PhilSteele042. So your number 2 play is to take Georgia -7 over Ole Miss. All right, let's get to your conference YPG game of the week. That new category I just put up there. I get excited about this stuff. I like the fact that the last 4 weeks plays are now starting to really come into play because you're dropping off those first 2 games and you're only looking at how teams are doing the last 4 weeks. I find that invaluable. This is a conference YPG game of the week, and it's also what I'm going to call a warm and fuzzy game. Last week I used Temple as the top part of the chart here. In this game, we used Temple against Navy. And Temple, I used Temple, I should say, as a best bet for press box, and it was a super comfortable game. Temple just dominated the game against Navy. In fact, they should have won outright. If you take a look at Temple, they had a 518 to 384 yard edge, 27 to 15 first down edge. They were plus 9.5. I used them as a best bet in press box, and that was a super comfortable game. Navy broke off a touchdown run and got a 2-point conversion at the end to pull out the straight-up win, but it was never in question. I believe that's the first time Navy even led all game. Let me take a look. Nope, Navy scored a touchdown early to lead. That was the only time they led up until then, and then the 2-point conversion. 51-yard touchdown run with 39 seconds left. That's how Navy beat them. So I was very impressed with Temple. They have a 518 to 384-yard edge last week. Now, this is the first week of this new category I pointed out. Let's go back to the schedule predictor for a second. It's Conference YPG, and this is Temple by 19.8. Let me show you where to find that. We got Temple on the right. We got Temple is the visitor. Charlotte's on the right. If you look here at conference play, Charlotte's playing to an 80.7 level. Let's take a look at Temple. Temple's playing to a 102.8 level in conference play. So right there, you're looking at 22.1. Subtract off the home field edge, and that's why it's showing here. Let's go back to the schedule predictor. That Temple is a 19.8 play here this week. These things went 29 and 10 last year. And I've got a bunch. There should be 4 or 5, maybe 6 conference. I don't know if I'm going to have time to type in all the conference AGGs. You guys can look them up, but I will put in the best ones up here, the ones that have a factor for the week and the best bets. I may get them all in this week. We'll see. This schedule predictor takes me a long time to update, but I do it for you guys so that you can have this stuff at your fingertips. So this is the first play of the year for the conference AGG. You see up here 0000. Haven't even had the column in here. I just added it last night while I was working on the tour. I added in this column for you. So it's a Temple by 19.8. Now, Phil, you got to have something else on the game, right? Let's see what else I got there. Last week we used them. They dominated. Oh, okay. We also have, look out here. You see our conference away favorite and home dog for Temple. It's yellow. That means there's only 2 angles going for it. You need 3 angles to be a best bet. That's why it's yellow. And one of these days I'm going to get back in there and get the record on these yellow plays as well. But right now, the easiest way for me to do it is to check the green. Now, you might say, Phil, Temple's a bad team. How do you trust them as an away favorite? That's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked that. Let's take a look at how they do as an away favorite. So here is away favorite record. Temple is 10-5-1 as an away favorite. Take away this 2-2. How about 8-3-1 as an away favorite? They do very well in a roll. So can you trust Temple as an away favorite? Answer, yes. And then let's take a look at Charlotte. And let me see what they've done as a conference away favorite. They've been conference away favorite. They're 8-3-1, so that's nice. Let's take a look at how Charlotte does as a conference home dog. Conference home dog, 1-2, 2-5, 3-7, 3-9 the last 4 years as a conference home dog for Charlotte. And let me see if they even had any more this year. 3-9. I believe they've had a couple this year as well. But anyway, you've got a good conference away favorite, a poor conference home favorite. You've got the AGG for the conference play. We are going to take Temple, and they are minus 11.5 over Charlotte. All right, let's get to the next game. The next game is Georgia Tech at Duke. It's our 5th selection already. We're rolling here. Georgia Tech on the left. And we're going to put Duke on the right. Let's get that one up here. Now, a quick note for you. I mentioned this last week. Some folks did take advantage of this. But this is really, guys, I put a lot of work into the tour, but I also put a lot of work into press box And if you'd like to be a Phil Steele Plus member, if you're not a Phil Steele Plus member and you want to play around on these games just like I'm doing, self-handicapper, Phil Steele Plus is $99 for the year. You can join right now, Phil Steele Plus, for the season for $99. If we go to the Phil Steele store here, you will see that. Let's click on that. Come on. There we go. You can join Phil Steele Plus for $99. Right now, the college inside the press box for the rest of the year is $169. The NFL is $169. The NFL and college bundle is $269. All right, that's a lot, right? You're talking about $269. You're talking about $99. You're talking about $368. All right, to join both college press box for the rest of the year and here. But I appreciate you guys taking the tour. Now, as you know, I'm battling the computer. All right, so last week I had Arizona against BYU. I'm up 24-14 in the fourth quarter. I'm going to go 3-1 on my selections, and then Arizona gives up that late touchdown, losing in overtime. So I went 2-2. My computer doesn't have weeks like that once October hits. My computer finished the year 17-7 in 2023, 19-11 in 2024, 3-1 again last week, 6-2 in October. You know, I led after September, like always. My computer just crushes it the second half of the year. The 3-year fall record, now 42-20 for the computer. And oh, by the way, Craig, my NFL guy, NFL Best Bets, boring 2-1 week again last week. It was 2-1 the week before. Every time I ask him, how'd you do? 2-1. I'm like, can't you do 3-0? But hey, we'll take 2-1 every week in the NFL. You guys know I don't watch NFL football. I just study college football. But Craig's doing a hell of a job this year. If you go to the store and type in Computer 9, here's the deal. You get college press boxes, $169. You get it for $79. That's 53.3% off. Plus, you get Phil Steele Plus. So if you're thinking of signing up for Phil Steele Plus, don't spend the $99. Spend $79 on college inside the press box and get Phil Steele Plus for free. Or get the NFL press box for $79. The NFL's on a roll. Or get college and NFL and postseason all for just $125. It's $269 right now, and you get Phil Steele Plus included in that. Just go there right now, type in the code word Computer9. Why Computer 9? Because, well, it should be Computer 8, but I had that code last week. There are 8 weeks left of computer picks. 8 full weeks. That's press box for 8 weeks. NFL's got even more than that left. And the postseason has more than that left. $125. You get all those press box issues, plus you get Phil Steele Plus for $99. Now, this is an internet thing. You could click here and pause. I'm not going to show you this much more, but the computer is heated up. The NFL is heated up. Don't miss out on this special. And the big thing is you get to play around on Phil Steele Plus like I do here and get all this information at your fingertips. And you get the schedule predictor for free as well. All right, let's get to the technical game of the week. And we got Georgia Tech on the left and Duke on the right. Now, you guys know, if you listen to me on the radio, watch me on the Phil Steele show or anything like that, Georgia Tech is tremendous as an underdog. One of the best underdogs out there, but also struggles as a big favorite. So, Brent Key is an underdog in this one. That is huge. And you take a look at this matchup here. And by the way, let me click on this game last week just to emphasize a point here. I, on the tour, gave out Virginia Tech plus 14. We were only down 21-14 at this point. It was 28-14. We're still plus 14.5, I should say. We're covering. Georgia Tech gets a touchdown, but we get that touchdown back. And it's like, okay, once he kicks the extra point, we have covered this game. And then Philip Montgomery decides to go for 2 points down, which touchdown would have made it 14. Why are you going for 2 in the first place? And we don't get the cover. He doesn't get the 2-point conversion. We lose by 15. So instead of 4-1 this week, we go 3-2. A little bitter about that. Just thought I'd mention it. I vented. It's out of the way. All right, now let's talk about these technical plays. Georgia Tech as an away dog. Brent Key, love him as a dog. You know, when he plays a ranked ACC team, they're usually a double-digit dog, and they win outright every single time. Well, as an away dog, what do we got here? 1-1, 4-3, 9-4 as an away dog for Brent Key as a dog. So I like that. That's angle number 1 says that. Now, open up your magazine, go to the Duke page, go to Manny Diaz, home favorite. What's the record for his career? 8-13 so far this year. And once again, if we go to the logs and go to the college logs, we can go to Duke. Let's go to Duke. How have they done as a home favorite? Did not cover against Elon, and did cover against NC State. So they're 1-1 this year as a home favorite. And their home favorite record is now 8-12. And the series underdog, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look how the series dog is done here. Temple, and all you do is you click right here, and you get the last 24 years matchups. We showed you that already. Favorite won, dog won, favorite lost. That was push. Favorite one. Anyway, right here, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Add it up. It's 7-2 for the dog. And look over here. How many upsets in those 9 years? 5 outright upsets. I think this is going to be one of those outright upsets. I think it's going to be 6 outright upsets in the series. So you got the series, you got a poor home favorite, you got a good away dog, and I think I put this up here as part of the schedule predictor. Let me see if I did. Yep, here it is out here. Away dog, home favorite, series dog. That's what all that means. Now, there's not a lot of other stuff going for it. It's mostly a technical play here. It won't end up being a best bet out here, but it is a best bet over here. So I like Georgia Tech plus the. Give me Georgia Tech, Brent Key as an underdog anytime in a big game. I'll take them. Now, here's another one for you. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here we got 6 plays. This one is called Deja Vu all over again, but better. All right, let's explain that one. Well, let's put Indiana over here on the right, and we're going to put Michigan State on the left. Now, last year in press box, I was riding Indiana every single week, and they were a spread darling. You could take a look at spread. Let's take a look at their spread records last year. Come down here, spread records. Win, 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 win. I love to play streaks. When you play on a streak, you win many times, you lose only once. I think I used them as a best bet here, best bet here, best bet here, best bet here. They had a massive game against Washington, huge game, and they won that game. It was an emotional game. The crowd was fantastic. And the next week, they were going to play Michigan State on the road, as you see over here. And I used them again, and I was just distraught at the start of the game. Let's go take a look at it. You can click right here on the box score over here, and you get the start of the game. Michigan State opens up with a field goal, 52-yard, 8-play drive for a field goal. What? And then Michigan State goes 71 yards and 13 plays for a touchdown. We are losing the game 10-0. Okay, I guess it's time to hop off that streak. Indiana's failed. They're in a letdown spot. They're on the road. They're off this big win. They've had a great season. I guess it's all over. Now with Cignetti on the sidelines, and look at this. Indiana just throttled them the rest of the game. They won it 47-10. That was on the road, off a big home win, and that's a bad situation to be in. Well, this week, they're off a big win, but that win was on the road. Now we're coming home, and guess what? Our crowd's going to be super excited for this one. And one thing I want to show you, last week, if you would have checked our AGG, here is last week's AGG prior to the Oregon game. Look who the AGG had as the best team in the country. Indiana, 128.6. That is it. This AGG is something because, once again, it has no starting point for any team. If Coastal Carolina put up these numbers, their AGG would be 130.7. If Ohio State put up these exact same numbers against these exact same opponents, their number would be 130.7. It doesn't matter who you are. It only matters who your opponent is, where you played them, what the score was, and what the yardage was in the game. And if we take a look, that was last week. So I should have paid more attention to that. And if we take a look here, let's see. We'll click back here. Let's see who the top AGG teams. It's got my interest peaked to. Who are the top AGG teams this week? Go to the Phil Steele Plus menu, and it's right here. I bet you it's got to be still Indiana number 1. Indiana number 1, Texas Tech number 2, Notre Dame number 3. Now Oregon's still up there. Alabama, Miami of Florida. And this just, once again, no starting point on anything. UMass is at the very bottom. Sam Houston State. So that's pretty interesting. That gives you the AGG. Let's go back to the menu there and come back here. Now, I said deja vu. Why do I say that? Because, as mentioned, this year they're in a better situation. You got the home crowd cheering for you this year. You've got a Michigan State team that just got throttled last week by UCLA, 38-13, and that was at home in that game. They are now on a 3-game losing streak. There's a lot of factors. Let me see if it made the schedule predictor. Did I put them up here as a schedule predictor? Yep, here they are. Schedule predictor. We see Indiana's a 4 best bet play. The last year they would have beat them by 43. And here's what that means, by the way. Last year they were on the road at Michigan State and won by 37. So take away Michigan State's 3-point home edge. Give that 3-point home edge to Indiana. That's a 6-point shift. 37 plus 6 is 43. Indiana would win the game by 43. That's how this is done. Indiana by 36.5. Indiana by 36.3. Last 4 weeks, AGG, Indiana by 40.9. Let's take a look at the last 4 weeks. And this is invaluable. Once again, you take a look at the start of the year, throw this Old Dominion game out, 119. They have played to a tremendous level the last 4 weeks. They are playing at 135.1. These guys are playing at a 97.7. Throughout this Western Michigan, 108.6. Throughout the BC game, they're playing at 97.7. That says Indiana by 40. What's the line on this game? 27. And the thing I've learned about Cignetti, watching him on the sidelines in the fourth quarter of a game, he's winning by 35. He's an angry man. He wants more. He wants his team to play the full 60 minutes. I like that as a home favorite. So let's take a look. How's he done as a home favorite? How about 7-1 last year? And how's he done as a home favorite this year? Let's go take a look. We got to go back over here to spread logs, college ATS, Indiana. How's he done as a home favorite? Now, the Old Dominion game, he had 7 drives in the red zone with just 2 touchdowns. That was an agonizing game, only won by 13. Minus 34.5, won by 46. Minus 47.5, won by 73. Beat Illinois, a ranked team, 63-10. That's what he's done as a home favorite this year. 3-1, 7-1 last year, 10-2. I'm taking Indiana. I'm laying the 27 against Michigan State. All right, let's go to the home away AGG play of the week. Home away AGG play of the week. That's not even on the schedule predictor. Phil, you better get that up on the schedule predictor next week, would you, please? We're going to put Georgia Southern on the right, and we're going to put Georgia State on the left. All right. What I mean by home away AGG, it's one I don't talk about a lot. Here's your home. This is how they've done at home. This is how they've done away. And if you look at Georgia State, they went on this West Coast road trip. They actually led Fresno 14-13 at the half, fell asleep at night. And once the game got past midnight, lost 42-14, got blown out by USC, who doesn't. Then they came home against Jacksonville State. I used them as a best bet in press box. They won 41-34. They beat Maine at home 45-17. They lost to James Madison. They've played 3 good teams on the road. Look at the losses for Fresno State, USC, and James Madison. I think you have 2 combined, maybe 3, as far as those teams. And then last week, they did lose at home to Southern Miss. Southern Miss is a really good team. Now, Georgia State, on the other hand, is 1-5 coming in. Their only win over an FCS team. They just lost to App State last week by 21. Their away AGG is 75.5. Their home AGG is 93.1. So you have a really good home team playing to a high level. That's about 17.6 difference. Add in the 3-point home edge, or whatever the home edge is, and your home away AGG has Georgia Southern by 20.6. What's the line in this game? The line is 6.5. Another thing here, and I think I brought this one up on the schedule predictor. Let me take a look. Yes, I did. It is a situation play. Now, the situation plays went 4-3 last week as the best bets, but they're 45-24 on the year, 182-115. Situation best bets. And once again, if you guys have 2 categories you pair together, or just one category that you absolutely love, use that category. You have this option out here where if you want to make things easy for yourself, just use the overall best bets. But sometimes you find a diamond in the rough like this. You've got the score. The last time they hosted them here, they won by 17. You got the situation, and last year they won. This one might turn out to be a 3 best bet out here. I think when I examine this closer and look at it, it might turn out to be a 3 best bet, but you'll see on Friday when you go to the schedule predictor. Anyway, your home away factor here, we're going to take Georgia Southern minus 6.5 over Georgia State. All right, let's get to, I gave you the battle is on. Let's get to the quick hitters and see how they're rolling. 4-2 last week, 14-4 the last 3 weeks. Your first one is going to be the last 4 weeks AGG. I'm going to show you here. It's just while I've got this on the screen. The last 4 weeks AGG, Michigan's 11.3. The overall AGG, it's only 6.8, but the last 4 weeks is better. It's also a revenge game here. Michigan, of course, lost last year, and it's not yet a best bet. I don't know if it's going to make it as a best bet, but it is, and this is one of my favorite categories. The last 4 weeks AGG gives you good current form. Only 5-6 last week, only 7-9 on the year. But here's the thing with that last 4 weeks AGG category. It gets better because the more games drop off at the top, the more current form you have. When you get to like week 9, week 10, you're just looking at the last 4 games. Forget the first 5, and it really gives you some excellent plays. Keep your eyes on this category. I think next week when I show you this schedule predictor, this 5-6, 7-9 is going to be positive numbers, huge positive numbers. This might be a column to play this week, is that last 4 weeks AGG. But let's go ahead and put this one up on the board just so you can see. I gave you the schedule predictor part already. I want to make it a quick hitter. I don't want it to be that long of a thing. So let's get Michigan over here on the right. We're going to put Washington on the left. One thing I want to notice here is Washington the last 2 years when they're not in Husky Stadium, how about 1-7 ATS? Lost to Rutgers, lost to Iowa, lost to Indiana, lost to Penn State, lost to Oregon, and here they were not at home. This game is in Seattle. They lost to Washington State. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 0-6 on the road. Last year they did cover at Washington State this year, but also did not cover at Maryland. So they are 1-7 on the road, have not covered a Big Ten road game in their 2 years of Big Ten play. Here's what I mean by the last 4 weeks. You got Michigan's playing at 119.3. They're playing at a 113. Add in the home field edge, and that's why Michigan's the last 4 weeks play here. We're going to take Michigan -6. And by the way, I believe, are they in the revenge column? They are in the revenge column. Remember, last year, Washington was in the revenge column. These two played for the national championship right here. Michigan beat them. So last year, Washington was in the revenge column. Guess what? Washington beat them 27-17 at home. Let's see what the stats were. 287-429. Michigan's a better team at home and a better team this year with Bryce Underwood at quarterback. Now they're playing with revenge. I like Michigan -6 over Washington. All right, here's your first computer. I've actually got 2 computer wanted to use plays. Remember last week we used a computer wanted to use play? It was on Arizona or not, it was on San Diego State last week was the computer wanted to use play. Yeah, my computer's making me show you what happened in the game. San Diego State, it was the computer wanted to use, and I didn't let it. How about 35-0 at the half? Look at this. They led this thing 44-0 last week. The computer's like, why didn't you let me use that as a best bet? Nevada scored 2 late scores. Make this final only 44-10. Yeah, the computer was dead on, as it usually is. Once October hits, this thing is just absolutely dynamite. There you go, Mr. Computer. I gave you your due this week for not allowing it. And I got 2 games that I didn't allow the computer to use. Let's see how it does this week. The first one is Texas against Kentucky. All right, let's put Texas up here. Kentucky is the home team this week, and Texas is the team on the visiting spot. Now, I don't know if I show this one on the schedule predictor or not. If you look on the schedule predictor, I don't have it. There's not a lot on the schedule predictor for it. However, if we take a look at this one, I asked Todd for the wrong one. Hey, Todd, real quick, can you do the Kentucky, Texas one for me? I gave you the wrong one to look up. Kentucky, Texas. Let me know when it's ready. I'll hop to the next one. All right, we're going to hop to the next one while Todd gets that one ready for you. Yeah, the press box write-up for Kentucky and Texas. I'm sorry. All right, let's go to the Conference YPG play number 2, and then we'll get back to that one. Todd's pretty quick. He'll get that up there quickly. Press box goes out today, by the way, and so it's we'll put a lot of work into that each week. The computer, let's hope it has another big week this week. But Conference YPG play, we're going to put UCF at home on the right. And where's that? UCF. And we're going to put West Virginia on the left. A couple notes here for this one. Let's look at Conference YPG. And once again, if we go to the schedule predictor. Schedule predictor. Do I have this one up there? I do not. Okay. Conference YPG. That's my fault. I should have highlighted that this morning. You're going to have to take my word for it. Let's take a look at how they've done in conference play. In conference play, West Virginia is minus 158 yards per game. UCF is plus 31. UCF is playing to a level of 104.2 in Big 12 play. They're playing at a level of 92. That's 12.2. Let's add in a 3-point home edge. I believe I give UCF a higher edge in the thing, but let's use 3 as a random number. That right there is 12.2, 15.2. They're only laying 7 points in this one. So it's actually comes up 16.4 if you include my home field edge. So both teams are 0-3 in conference play, but my computer says no, they're not. One is much better than the other, 104.2 to 92. Your mind says 0-3, 0-3. Something else I want to point out here. I was doing my West Virginia podcast this morning with Jed and Wes, and Jed pointed out that West Virginia in the first 3 games, 13 sacks. Look what's happened since they got to Big 12 play. 0 sacks on defense. Wow. So their quarterback situation, remember, Markiel out. Jalen Henderson out. It's now down to Wilkins and Fox. And by the way, UCF, all 3 quarterbacks should be available this week. The last 2 weeks, it's been Cam Fancher. They were beating Kansas at home. Kansas is a really good team. They were beating Kansas at home. I had them as a best bet, or we used them on the tour, one of the two. I believe it was a best bet. And UCF is winning 14-0 in that game. We look good. And then right here, up 20-14, our quarterback goes out. Kansas gets a field goal ties it, field goal there. And then even at the end of the game, UCF, if you go to the end of the game against Kansas, let's go take a quick look at this. And all the way to the bottom. Come on, we're almost there. UCF is down here at the 1st and goal at the 5, 2nd and goal at the 1, 3rd and goal at the 1. All we need is a touchdown to tie this thing, send it to overtime. We're plus points at home. 4th and goal at the 1, nothing. They even get down to the 22-yard line at the end of the game. Passes incomplete at the last play. So they played a really good game against Kansas despite losing their quarterback in the 3rd quarter of that game. They could easily have beaten Kansas. So this is a good UCF team. We're going to go with UCF -7 over West Virginia. All right, computer wanted to use number 2 play, which I'll get that number 1 play up for you pretty soon. And once again, it was my mistake, not Todd's. We're going to put the Florida State game up here against Stanford. Let's put Florida State over here and Stanford over here. Florida State's on the road, and they have lost 3 in a row, and they are playing Stanford. I just showed you Stanford did play a better game than expected against SMU last week, but my computer for this one actually likes Florida State. It's got Florida State winning 44.6 to 14.5. That's 30 points. They're laying 17.5. My computer's like, I really want to use this play. Look at this. 493 to 305 yard edge and line 17.5. You get my complete write-up on the game. You get even my forecast on the game. I've got Florida State 41 to 13. You know what I tend to do this time of year, guys? I got to be honest with you. My computer is so hot once October hits. I look at the computer score and I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. So I come pretty close to it in a lot of areas. There are times where I disagree. Vanderbilt, LSU, we disagree this week. But in this one, I'm going to agree with it. I like Florida State. I just don't want my computer putting out 6-7 plays for crying out loud. He wants to put out 6-7 plays every week. I don't let him sometimes, but you're the benefit because you get the play. He said, I don't let him put out, and they've done really well over the last 2 years. So this play, while Florida State's lost the last 3 games, have been to 3 good teams. Pitt could easily be 6-0 right now. Miami of Florida is undefeated. Virginia only has 1 loss. I look for Florida State to go on the road and get the win. Stanford does not have a good crowd home edge. Take a look at their home record. They are 2-11 straight up at home. Look at this home record: 2-11, 4-15, 5-20 straight up. They're not very good. And even as a home dog, 10-15-1. Take away this 2-0 here, you're looking at 8-15-1 as a home dog coming into the year. It's a quick hitter, so I don't want to go back and do the research. If you have Phil Steele Plus, go take a look at your logs and find out what they've done this year as a home dog. All right, Todd's got it ready for you. My fault. I'm getting the Texas-Kentucky here. We're going to put Kentucky on the right, and we're going to put Texas on the left. And this one doesn't have a lot on the schedule predictor going for it. As I put Kentucky on the left, I should put Texas on the left. All right, we got Texas here on the left, Kentucky on the right. All right, let's look at the computer. This is one of those computer ones again. The computer's got 30-16 in this one with a 384, 251-yard edge. Let's get, if I let it, the computer will put out 7-8 plays every week. I let it put out 4 this week. And here's another play I didn't let it put out. And believe me, I'll be hearing it in the office all week long if it wins and I didn't let the computer put it out. They've been doing great on the tour. I agree with the computer once again. I see 30-13. I'm going to go, hey, 30-13. How can I argue with my computer? It's so red hot. But here's my complete write-up on the game. Tells you everything that's happened this season. Vegas line's 12.5, and this is by 17. So the computer wanted to use, I wouldn't let it use play. Number 1 and number 2, actually, is Texas minus 12.5. All right, let's get new quarterbacks, different directions. And we are going to put Pitt on the left and Syracuse on the right. So let's get new quarterback, different directions, Syracuse and Pitt. I just said Pitt could easily be 6-0 right now. Why do I say that? Well, go back to the West Virginia game. In the fourth quarter, Pittsburgh led the game 24-14. Gave up a touchdown with 11 seconds left and lost in overtime. And then the Louisville game, it was Pitt led 17-0. They led 27-17, and they somehow lost that game. So 2 games they could easily have won, blew double-digit leads. They could be 6-0 right now. You know, Mason Heinchel really impressed me last week. I'll say this. Last week, I expected him to struggle on his first road start. He looked great. 21-29 for 321 against Florida State. Looked good throwing the ball, looked good running the ball, and that was in a hostile environment, first road start. Now it's his second road start. He's got that under his belt. And I say new quarterbacks. If you take a look at the individual player stats, you will see Eli Holstein was the quarterback. And then after that agonizing game against Louisville where the interceptions and the turnovers were key, he started out against Boston College 204, and it's like, you know what? Let's go with Henschel at QB. And boom. Henschel actually started that game. Henschel went 30 of 41 for 323 yards, a 4.0 ratio, 21-29, 321. They're a different team with Henschel at QB. So they're playing extremely well. Beat Boston College 48-7. Look at this halftime, 31-0. And Boston College had 2 first downs at the half. So they're playing extremely well. Now let's take a look at Syracuse. Syracuse is flying. They were among the nation's leaders in passing with Steve Angeli at QB. 417, 244, 274, and then he's out for the year. So they play Duke and they play SMU with Ricky Collins at QB. They lose 38-3. And then last game against SMU, they were actually down 24-3 at the half. I believe they scored the last 3 scores. They were down 31-3, scored the last 3 scores of the game. So 2 different teams in that respect. And let me see if I had anything else written down here. Reed, oh, by the way, another point, when you look at individual player stats, something I want to point out here. Desmond Reed's their best player on offense. All right, Reed was here against Duquesne. Reed is here against Central Michigan. He gets banged up against West Virginia. Didn't play against Louisville. Those are the 2 losses. Didn't play against BC, but it didn't matter. But came back last week. Now, Reed's a dangerous runner, and he's also a dangerous receiver. Look at this, 8 for 155 receiving. Reed's back and healthy, along with their quarterback. We're going to take Pitt. We're going to lay the 10.5 against Syracuse. If you say, I don't know about going into Syracuse and coming out with a win, Phil, let's take a look. They go at Syracuse. They win 31-14. At Syracuse, they win 27-20. They did lose at Syracuse here, but covered, as you see out here. They beat Syracuse 23-20. They beat Syracuse 17-16. And they've covered, how many straight? They've covered the last 7 times they went to the Dome under Pitt. So let's go with Pitt minus 10.5 over Syracuse. All right, your final revenge, or your final quick hitter. We're going to take Utah over BYU. Now, the revenge games, I have a very tight rule on the revenge games in the fact that you had to be a favorite last year and lost. That's the only way it could be a revenge game. If you're an underdog and lost, that's not. But Utah lost an agonizing game to BYU last year, one where the athletic director said it was stolen from him at the end of the game by the referees. And as mentioned last week, I had a best bet on Arizona. It was 24-14 in the fourth quarter. I think BYU was a little lucky to win. I haven't been blown away with BYU this year. You take away the fourth quarter against Texas Tech. Keep in mind, this game was 10-10 in the fourth quarter, 24 bad points in the fourth quarter against Texas Tech. Take that away, West Virginia's been dominant. They covered on the road their 3 games by 16 points per game against UCLA, Wyoming, and West Virginia. So they can cover on the road. They've got outstanding offensive line and defensive line. And add it all up, I'm going to take a revenge game. And I'm not sure if I put it here on the schedule predictor or not. Let's see. Did not, but it will be a revenge game on Utah, minus 3.5 over BYU. All right, I do have an NFL play for you, and you know I don't study the NFL, but I was poking around last night on these NFL stats, and and actually I didn't want to, because I talk about the Browns because they've been on here a bunch, and they're having sort of a up and down season. I think this might be their up week. Let's go ahead and go to NFL information, go to team pages. We're going to put Miami on the left, and we're going to put Cleveland on the right. Let's go to NFL team pages, Cleveland on the right. Once again, you got all these things on the NFL page. You got individual players. If you're a fantasy football player, look at this. You want to know how the guys did in games last year? There you go. There's your individual game breakdown. That's every single team. How about this year? How are they doing on the individual games? How about this for the NFL? You want to know the spread records for the NFL in the last 10 years? And once again, it says spread records and total, but I don't see the totals on here.
I might have to get that up there.
Todd just said he'll put that up there this week. So he's had the wrong title up there. But he'll get that fixed. He'll get the totals up there as well. How'd you like to have the last 10 years spread records? That's your thing. Just join Phil Steele Plus and don't pay the $99. Just pay $79. Get PressBox for the rest of the year and get Phil Steele Plus. All right, but you also get the last 20 years logs. And it's over 20 years. Todd doesn't even know how to count. He's got here that's 20. That's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. That's 38 years, and that doesn't even include. So 39 years results. It says last 20 years logs. We'll have to teach Todd math one of these days. But anyway, let's go back to the Phil Steele Plus menu, and we're going to click on here and go to NFL information. I was poking around last night, so I'm like, okay, Cleveland's a 3-point favorite. That means these two teams are dead even, right? Well, I went to opponent offense versus defense and average. Cleveland is minus 11, but Miami is minus 91. So these two teams aren't even in this category. Cleveland's a much better team. They should probably be a 6 or 7-point favorite, according to that, right? Okay. Let's go to the next category. The next category we have is NFL information. We're going to go to average game grades. Remember earlier in the year, Cleveland was up there. Well, they've been falling. They're down here at 84.5. But Miami's down here at 77.3. So let's give 3 points to the Browns, 87.5, 77.3. That's the Browns by 10.2, and they are a 3-point favorite. Okay, that's a play on them. Last 4 weeks, the Browns are playing to an 84.9 level. Miami at a 79 level. Give 3 points to the Browns, that's 87.9. You're looking at 8.5. Once again, they're a 3-point favorite. Every category I touched on in this NFL turned out to be pointing to Cleveland is the better team and at home. Shouldn't be laying 3 points in this game. Strength of wins, pain of losses. That's the last category we'll take at. Now, this one's interesting. You get credit for every opponent you beat, every win they have, and you also get credit for every loss the opponent has. Well, Cleveland is 3-14. That's not very good, but Miami's 0-10. They haven't beaten a team that's won a game this year. And their only win was over the Jets. Cleveland's at least 3-14 coming in. They got the better record. So in every single category we have here, it points to Cleveland. And I bring this up because I was last week when I showed you guys this offense-defense chart. Once again, I do not follow the NFL. So I see Atlanta at the top, and I went and checked the record, and I'm like, what the hell is Atlanta's record? I didn't think they were even a good team because I don't follow the NFL, so I just know there's Buffalo and there's San Francisco. I don't even know who's playing well this year. And I go and take a look at let's go take a look at the team page for Atlanta. Last week when I showed you this, they were number 1 on this chart, and yet they were 2-2, and I'm like, what? And then they were playing Buffalo, And then I'm watching ESPN in the morning. I'm on the bike watching ESPN first thing in the morning, and I see Atlanta beats Buffalo. I'm like, isn't Buffalo a really good team? And Atlanta was 2-2. This said Atlanta was going to win the game. So keep your eyes on this as well if you play the NFL. Anyway, your official play, Cleveland -3. There you go. I gave you a full slate of cards, whole bunch of reasons to use Phil Steele Plus. Do make sure you use that code word. Get in on not only Phil Steele Plus for the rest of the year. Don't pay that $99, just pay $79, or $125, and you get Press Box for the rest of the year. NFL Press Box Best Bets are on fire. Computer just continues to roll. Use that code. Just go to philsteele.com, go to the store, and join it, and you get Phil Steele Plus for free. I want to thank you once again for taking the tour. If you got any of those best bet combos that you want to share with me, feel free to share them with the YouTube thing. I appreciate it, and thanks for taking the tour.